Welcome back to Blind Reading with Hungry Harmony. Today's read, Something Old, Something New, Chapter 6. The Elements of Misfortune. Twilight's eyes were full of tears. I wish you would reconsider, Fluttershy. I know you love him, but we love you too.
I love you girls too, Twilight. But this is my decision, and I'm not backing down from it.
Everyone around the campfire was silent, staring at the flames flickering across the wood Applejack had gathered earlier. None of them could think of anything to say for what seemed like forever, until Rainbow Dash spoke up.
You know what, Flutters? You won't be doing this alone. If you're trying your soul to Ebony, whatever his name is, then I'm trying my soul to yours. Same!
I was literally thinking the same thing. This is how I know I'm so closely related, or I relate to Rainbow Dash the most, because the protective nature and just wanting to be there for your friends to help them out. Oh my gosh, wow, that's crazy.
I've protected you from bullies since we were fillies, and I'm not about to lose you over something like this. No, Rainbow, you can't,
Fluttershy cried out desperately.
Yes, I can. Just like you said, this is my decision.
Actually, Rainbow, no! She's right. You can't. Well, come on! What if everyone tied their soul together? That way they could all protect each other, no? That way no one would risk anything, maybe? Twilight was looking sadly at the ground, and as she spoke, she lifted her eyes to Rainbow. A soul twine is an extremely difficult task. As it is, I need to ask for Rarity's help in performing it. I simply don't have enough to cast one soul twine, let alone 2 of them. Rainbow dejectedly sank down to the ground. The unfamiliar look of defeat splayed across her face. Rarity's eyes shot to Twilight, anger filling them.
Absolutely not, Twilight! I will not help you bind our poor Fluttershy to him!
Rarity harumphed and stuck her nose in the air, looking away from the others. Rarity. Ebony hadn't said a word for an entire conversation, but was now looking at Rarity with eyes full of tears. Rarity opened one eye and looked at him for only a moment before shutting it again, her nose still in the air. Ebony took a deep breath and started to talk. I don't want her to do this either. You have to understand that. I hate the thought that she may have to pay for my mistakes, but I also understand that this is in fact her decision to make. I don't want to be in the way of her making the decision for herself. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't relieved that she is willing to do this, because, to be completely honest, I am scared out of my wits about facing her again. I know if I have Fluttershy by my side, I will be able to face Misfortune. He paused for a moment, walking over to Rarity and taking her hooves in his own, staring into her eyes. You have my word that no harm will come to Fluttershy. If it takes every last breath in my body, every last drop of magic and strength, she will be safe. No one doubted the sincerity of his words. Applejack was pretty good at detecting a lie, and there was not one smidgen of doubt in her that Ebony meant every single word he said. Rarity was looking at him in amazement, as her eyes started to fill with tears. She closed her eyes and nodded. All right, fine. I'll help you cast the spell, Twilight. Twilight nodded, feeling much more confident about casting the soul twine after Ebony's promise. We need to get started right away then. Fluttershy, stand here next to Ebony and face me. Ready? Get behind them. Once every pony was in position, Twilight closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Her horn slowly started to glow, and Fluttershy could feel the pressure of magic in front of her. And behind her as Rarity's horn also began to glow. Fluttershy's insisted started to feel as though... Fluttershy's insides, for some reason I heard eyes, sorry. Fluttershy's insides started to feel as though they were going to burst out of her chest, and she shut her eyes tight against the pressure. When she opened them again, a small strand of pale pink was being pulled out of her, and a similar purple strand was being pulled out of Ebony. Twilight's horn was like a beacon now, sparks flying off of it and lighting up the forest around them as if it was daylight. The 2 strands met and started to twine together, slowly swirling until it was hard to tell where Fluttershy's strand was and where Ebony's strand was. In a flash, the strand was gone, and all 4 ponies fell to the ground exhausted. "There," Twilight said, panting with her eyes half closed. "It's done. Now if you excuse me, I need to sleep." She slowly got up and tottered off to the soft spot in the grass, laying down. Rarity looked as if she was going to be sick. "Oh dear, she wasn't kidding when she said it was a big spell." Rarity too went off to sleep, leaving Fluttershy and Ebony on the ground together. The spell must have taken hours because the other 3 elements were already fast asleep. Ebony looked over at Fluttershy. "How are you feeling, my dear?" he asked her, reaching over to touch her mane.
"I'm fine. Just really tired,"
she said, panting. "You don't have to speak, you know. Since we are soul twined, I can hear your thoughts and you can hear my..."
"What?
You can hear my thoughts?" Fluttershy, look, sorry, I skipped that. Fluttershy looked at him sharply as the realization hit her that he hadn't been speaking, only speaking to her mind. "You can hear my thoughts?" Ebony simply nodded in response and scooted his exhausted body over to her. He reached out and held her close, knowing that she had possibly sacrificed her life to save his. Yeah, she did. She gently nuzzled against his chest as he used his wing to cover her up, and thus they fell asleep. Wow. Now you can hear each other's thoughts? But does that mean Ebony can hear Misfortune's thoughts since they are soul twined too? Or is this just Discord's magic just doing it? I don't know, I'm confused. The 4 ponies who were involved with the soul twine were incapable of moving very much the next day, and so spent the entire day lying on the ground recovering. Twilight was suffering the most out of all of them, experiencing severe headaches and muscle cramps from heck. By the end of the day, Fluttershy, Ebony, and Rarity were able to get up and walk around, but Twilight was bedridden for the entirety of the day. Poor Twilight. After 2 days of caring for Twilight and making sure she was regaining all of her strength in preparation for their battle with Misfortune, every pony was ready to set off again. Slowly, at first. Right around midday, after eating a small lunch, they came to a town. The town itself was eerie, showing no signs of life. No signs of any pony living there for quite some time. They walked slowly and cautiously through the abandoned streets, listening to the sound of the wind banging broken window shutters against the walls of the houses. Every pony felt it. Rainbow Dash was the only one who said it.
"Something doesn't feel right here."
The words were no sooner out of her mouth than 6 ponies sauntered slowly out in the middle of the town. They seemed to come from nowhere, and the main 6 and Ebony stopped in their tracks as they watched the strange ponies advance towards them, only to stop a few paces away. Each of the strange ponies were the same color of gray, but what was the strangest was that each pony looked exactly like the member of the main 6. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, wait a minute, this looks... What in tarnation is going... Applejack started, but it was interrupted by the alternate AJ. "We are the elements of Misfortune, created by Misfortune herself to help her in her quest to rid the land of useless ponies such as yourselves. I am Deceit, and my companions are Cruelty, Treachery, Selfishness." Sorry, that's the Hungarian coming out of me. "Selfishness, Despair, and last but not least, Enmity." As Deceit said this, she pointed and turned to the alternate Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, Pinkie, and Twilight. Deceit turned her gaze onto their colorful counterparts. "We know why you are here, and we cannot allow you to move forward any further." The main 6 gulped and looked at each other. Boom! Wow, 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 wow. This is getting interesting. So it's almost like the main 6 versus the main 6, except they actually have names. So interesting. Or the elements of Deceit and Cruelty, Treachery, Selfishness. I can't stop saying shellfish. It's the European in me, definitely. Despair and Enmity. But yeah. Ooh, this is getting good. This is getting good. And poor Twilight. Poor Twilight. Just how much magic? I mean, I can imagine that's a huge spell, and it's an ancient spell too. That's what this Ebony said. So, ooh, You're gonna have a handful. Well, I can't wait to find out what happens next. Well, I'll see you guys then at chapter 7? Yeah, 7. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hungry Army is out. Something old, something new, but FlutterCord is forever.